Hello, this is Eric Ryder, and I'm going to be discussing with you the 1975 movie called The Fortune. And The Fortune is directed by Mike Nichols, and it stars Stockard Channing, Jack Nicholson, and Warren Beatty. Now, knowing the director and his reputation, and coming from the 3 stars that I have mentioned, you would probably think this is going to be an extraordinary movie. Now I know that Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty have been in other movies before that were far more successful, but this movie was not one of them. And it seems like a sad irony that director Mike Nichols has collaborated with Jack Nicholson in the past, and it seems sad that Nicholson's movies that are under Mike Nichols' direction has been failures. Heartburn, What Planet Are You From? And of course the one I'm talking about, The Fortune. Now, The Fortune is a comedy, a screwball comedy set in the 1920s. And it raises the issues of the Mann Act, which disallows transporting women across state lines. This was originally documented in the 19th century for purposes that were deemed somewhat immoral. Now, the main character, Nicky, played by Warren Beatty, is having trouble divorcing his wife, so he drags his friend Oscar, played by Jack Nicholson, to marry a lady who's about to receive a very large fortune. Her name is Frederica, or for short she likes to be called Freddie, which was played by Stockard Channing, and this was actually her debut. Of course, you realize that later on she would go on to star as Betty Rizzo in the 1978 musical Grease. So, once they put out a false marriage, they travel from New York to Los Angeles, where they settle down. But, however, Oscar wants to make this marriage for real, and this goes against the plot, the scheme that Nicky has for them. Once Freddie catches on to their schemes, she decides to become very vocal about donating her franchise, her fortune, and giving all the money away. Nicky and Oscar would not allow that, so then the gloves come off, and it's time for them to plot a murder. In other words, the heiress must die. Personally, I thought that the scenes were awkward. They were very disjointed. There was poor chemistry among the performers, and I'm actually surprised, because coming from guys like Beatty and Nicholson being the stars in the movie, you would probably expect something spectacular from them. Unfortunately, this was not the case. And you also have characters you just don't really particularly seem to care for, which is too bad. I mean, this is very sad when you think about it. And who is to blame for this whole debacle? Could we blame the actors? Sure, why not? I mean, what came into their minds to want to be involved in this project? Could it be the scriptwriter? Yes. Could it be the director himself? Of course. I mean, I could blame a lot of other people, but I think that the whole blame rests between scriptwriter Carol Eastman and director Mike Nichols. Eastman is to blame for creating an awful dialogue and poor excuse for comedy. And then you can also blame Mike Nichols for his poor comedic timing and the pacing. And if you want to know if there was any good quality in this movie, well, let's just say that the movie is only 88 minutes long. Because if it would have been any more longer, I probably would have shot myself in the foot. However, though, I don't think I have any intentions of doing such a thing. All kidding aside, but the thing is that it's not like Mike Nichols was a stranger to any of these performers. I mean, he directed Jack Nicholson in Carnal Knowledge, and yes, even some of the other flops that I had aforementioned earlier in the rant. If anybody wishes to see the movie, I'm not going to stop them. You know, to each their own, and if you liked the movie, you know, you're all entitled to your own opinion. I may not be American, but I do take a liking to the First Amendment, where everybody has a right to exercise his or her rights and his or her beliefs. And, you know, I understand that some people have actually praised the movie, particularly the Coen brothers, especially brother Joel, who actually thought this was one of the best movies that ever came out in that era. However, I just tend to disagree, and I'm not saying this to be disagreeable and all. And I guess I was probably maybe asking too much, since knowing that Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, and even Stockard Channing were in the movie. There were some other notable names, if you didn't notice. Florence Stanley, the late Florence Stanley, was also in this movie too, playing the disgruntled landlady. Of course, you may have remembered her as a judge on the TV series Night Court and its spin-off My Two Dads. And I've always thought that she had this good array of cynical humor over the past 2 years, but I think Florence Stanley is just much more better in sitcoms than she is in movies. But I digress. So if you want to see this movie, you know, don't let me stop you. But I saw this movie once, and I don't think I will see it ever again as long as I live. So thank you very much for your time in listening, and I'll tune in again for another movie review. It's not, most of my movie reviews are not always just going to be about ranting. I'm probably going to do some raves. I'm not really a negative individual, but I know the most recent 2 movie reviews that I reviewed were raves, or rants, sorry. I'm going to do some raves in the near future, because, you know, I've written a lot of reviews. Most of them have actually been raves more than rants. And if you want to read some of my reviews, I suggest you go to imdb.com. My screen name is Eric262003. So if you ever want to read my reviews, you know, please feel free. And if you have any opinions, you know, send me some feedback. And you know, be nice, be polite. There was there's an old saying where it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So thank you very much, and you all have a good day. Goodbye.